So let's talk about episode 9 of Dragon Ball Super, the long-awaited God transformation episode. The name of the episode is Omatase Beerus. About that here. Very interesting with the pacing. This episode actually felt rushed in parts, but it also felt kind of slow in other parts. Barely goes into the history of the form or the history on planet Vegeta. You know, those of you who saw Battle of Blue Silhouette and the dragon is telling them the whole story. Well, not in this one. He's better than the movie. The ritual, I felt, even though I appreciate the simplicity of the film version of the ritual to give Goku God power, I feel like this version was much more epic, almost too epic. I know there were jokes being made about it being like a Jesus Christ type of parallel, where you literally saw like these yellow clouds and there was electricity everywhere, and you saw them kind of form up, and then you saw like rain and like snow and like all this ridiculous like weather phenomenon, like almost as if, you know, like something out of the Bible. Like they really push the whole like real biblical theological themes of the God power here, and I thought it was pretty cool. I did like that. They really made the transformation seem that much more epic. One quick side note, by the way, I wanted to make is that when Chi-Chi finds out that Gohan's gonna have a baby, Chi-Chi suggests that Gohan name his son Gomen, which is I guess it's supposed to be a joke on ramen and Gohan, because Gohan means rice. I'm guessing that's what it is. Actually, I just, as we're recording this, I checked on Herms' Twitter, and yes, I was right. It is noodles, like ramen, so there you go. And no, guys, I don't think we're going to have another mysterious kid here added to the timeline. I think it is Pan, all right? But, again, who knows? And for those wondering, yes, folks, Pan is canon. She's in the freaking manga, because some people can't grasp that one. But anyways, epic ritual, and they finally make the God power. They took forever with this. You saw a bunch of ki. You saw, like, you know, the yellow form. Very interesting that Videl had blue eyes and yellow hair during this. Now, I'm not saying she can unlock SSJ, but I thought that was a really great visual to show that the power is inside of her in her womb. That was cool. Then we see a bunch of red, and then finally Goku is in his God form, just like how he was in the film, thinner with the magenta, that's the color, with the magenta hair, ready to rock and roll. And that's where the episode ends. And then next week we'll have the beginning part of our fight, which I think is going to get dragged on quite a bit. 3 episodes most likely. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's going to be 3 episodes based on all the information that we have. So that is it. Now, my thoughts on the episode, like I said earlier, just to recap, it was way too fast-paced the first half of the episode. They went through the God lore and the Videl pregnancy way too fast. Also, another quick side note, real quick, is that at one point in the episode, Beerus talks about the Dragon Balls, and he's like, I thought they were bigger. And Whis goes, you're probably thinking of the ones on Planet Namek. So they are aware of the Namek Dragon Balls. Does this tie into Champa in the Dragon Ball Super Toyotaro manga adaptation, talking about needing the Dragon Balls and possibly going to Namek? Very interesting. I don't know if it does. I don't know if it's foreshadowing or if it's just a throwaway line. But Beerus has seen Dragon Balls at some point, and it makes sense that he saw him on Namek because of how old he is. Maybe when he was younger, before he took a long-ass nap, he went there. I mean, who really knows? Maybe we'll find out. But it looks like next week Goku's fighting Beerus, and this episode, again, first half was way too rushed. Second half was a little bit slower than it should have been, I felt. But the good thing about it is that stuff actually happened. The plot's actually been moving along now. We're not just stuck in one rut here. Things are actually going on, and next week we're going to have the beginning of our fight. So people have been looking forward to it. I expect the rating to go up a little bit, and we'll see what happens next week. So that is Dragon Ball Super Episode 9. Thumbs in the middle episode. It's a rehash of stuff we already seen. Not as good as in the movie, except for the visuals of the God transformation. So I guess we'll see what happens next week, and thank you guys for watching the video, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you down the road, and those of you in North America, or in the U.S., have a very safe Labor Day weekend. And I got some content coming up too, so keep an eye on the channel. Talk to you then.